Reading from the writings of the Articles of Shamarti, article number 8. What is the difference between the shade of you can find a study material and the system? You can also send your questions through the system or through selected questions you will be asked during the lesson. The Articles of Shamarti, Shati number 8. What is the difference between shade of? Yes, these are two discernments, or a single discernment between the shade of Kadusha and the shade of Hand, the other side that stands before the person. And if a person advances, well then each time he sees, according to the measure of subtlety, according to the measure of precision, how to distinguish between this and at, and in between these two forms he finds himself advancing, because precisely through the two of them he advances towards the goal. So let's see what is written here, and we will see how the Creator helps us in that. What is the difference between a shade of Kushar and a shade of Sra? It is written, until the day breathes and the shadows flee away. We must understand what are shadows in the work, and what are two shadows. The thing is that when one does not feel his guidance, that he leads the world in a manner of the good who does good, is regarded as a shadow that hides the sun. In other words, just as the corporeal shadow that hides the sun does not change the sun in any way, and the sun shines in all its power, so one who does not feel the existence of his guidance does not induce any change above. Rather, there is no change above. As it is written, I the Lord did not change. Instead, all the changes are in the receivers, and we must observe two discernments in this shade, meaning in this concealment. 1. When one still has the ability to overcome the darkness and concealments, that one feels, justify the Creator and pray to the Creator that the Creator will open his eyes to see that all the concealments that he feels come from the Creator, that the Creator does all this to him so he may find his prayer and yearn to adhere to him. And this is so because only through the suffering that one receives from him, wishing to break free from the trouble and flee from the torments, when he does then he does everything he can. Hence, when receiving the concealments and afflictions, is certain to take the known cure to do much praying for the Creator to help him out of the state he's in. In that state he still believes in his providence. When one comes to a state where he can no longer overcome, and say that all the suffering and pains he feels are because the Creator sent them to him so as to have a reason to ascend in degree, he comes to a state of heresy, since he cannot believe in his guidance. Naturally, at that time he cannot pray. It follows that there are two kinds of shadows, and this is the meaning of when the shadows flee away, meaning the shadows will pass away from the world. The shade of keeper of the shells is called another god, is sterile and does not bear fruit. Holiness, however, is called under a shadow I coveted to sit, and its fruit was sweet to my palate. Other words, he says that all the concealments and afflictions he feels are because the Creator has sent him these states. So you would have a place for work above reason. And when one has strength to say this, that the Creator causes him all of this, it is to one's benefit. This means that through this he can come to work in order to bestow and not for his own sake. At that time one realizes, meaning believes, that the Creator enjoys specifically his work, which is built entirely on above reason. It follows at that time one does not pray to the Creator that the shadows will flee from the world. Rather, he says, I see that the Creator wants me to serve him in this manner, entirely above reason. Thus, in everything he does, he says, the Creator certainly enjoys this work. So why should I care if I'm working in a state of concealment of the face? Because one wants to work in order to bestow, meaning that the Creator will enjoy. He feels no humiliation in the work, meaning a sensation that he is in a state of concealment of the face, that the Creator does not enjoy his work. Instead, one agrees to the leadership of the Creator, meaning however the Creator wants him to feel. The existence of the Creator during the work he agrees wholeheartedly. This is so because one does not consider what can please him, but what can please the Creator. Thus the shade brings him life. This is called under a shadow I coveted, meaning one covets such a state where he can make some overcoming above reason. It follows that if one does not exert in a state of concealment, when there is still room to pray for the Creator to bring him closer, and he is negligent in this, for this reason he sent a second concealment, in which one cannot even pray. This is because of the sin of not exerting with all of one's might to pray to the Creator. For this reason, one comes to a state of such loneliness. However, after one comes to that state, he is speeded from above, and is given another awakening from above. Same order begins anew until finally strengthens in prayer. The Creator hears his prayer, brings him near and reforms him. Well, maybe we should read again. What is the difference between the shade of and shade of? It is written, until the day breathes and the shadows flee away. We must understand what are shadows in the work, and what are two shadows. The thing is that when one does not feel his guidance that he leads the world in a manner of the good who does good, it is regarded as a shadow that hides the sun. In other words, just as the corporeal shadow that hides the sun does not change the sun in any way, and the sun shines in all its power, so one does not feel the existence of his guidance, does not induce any change above. Rather, there is no change above. As it is written, I the Lord did not change. Instead, all the changes are in the receivers. We must observe two discernments in this shade, meaning in this concealment. But one still has the ability to overcome the darkness and concealments that one feels, justify the Creator and pray to the Creator that the Creator will open his eyes to see that all the concealments that he feels come from the Creator, meaning that the Creator does all this to him so he may find his prayer and near to adhere to him. So because only through the suffering that one receives from him wishing to break free from the trouble and flee from the torments, then he does everything he can. Hence when receiving the concealment and afflictions, is certain to take the known cure, is to do much praying for the Creator, and to help him out of the state he's in. That state, he still believes in his providence. Too, when one comes to a state where he can no longer overcome and say that all the suffering and pains he feels are because the Creator sent to him, and sent them to him so as to have a reason to ascend in degree, and he comes to a state of heresy since he cannot believe in his guidance. Naturally, at that time he cannot pray. It follows that there are two kinds of shadows, and this is the meaning of when the shadows flee away, meaning that the shadows will pass away from the world. The shade of keeper of the shell is called another god, is sterile, and does not bear fruit. In holiness, however, it is called under its shadow I coveted to sit, and its fruit was sweet to my palate. In other words, he says that all the concealments and afflictions that he feels are because the Creator has sent him these states, so he would have a place for work above reason. And when one has the strength to say this, that the Creator causes him all of this, it is to one's benefit. This means that through this he can come to work in order to bestow, and not for his own sake. At that time one realizes, meaning he believes that the Creator enjoys specifically his work, which is built entirely on above reason. It follows that at that time one does not pray to the Creator that the shadows will flee from the world. Rather, he says, I see that the Creator wants me to serve him in this manner, entirely above reason. Thus in everything he does, he says, the Creator certainly enjoys this work. So why should I care if I'm working in a state of concealment of the face? Because one wants to work in order to bestow, meaning that the Creator will enjoy. He feels no humiliation in the work, meaning a sensation that he is in a state of concealment of the face that The creator does not enjoy his work. Instead, one agrees to the leadership of the creator, meaning, however the creator wants him to feel, the existence of the creator during the work he agrees wholeheartedly. This is so because one does not consider what can please him, but what can please the creator. Thus this shade brings him life, and this is called under its shadow coveted, meaning one covets such a state where he can make some overcoming above reason. It follows that if one does not exert in a state of concealment, when there is still room to pray for the creator to bring him closer, and he's negligent in this. For this reason, he sent a second concealment, in which one cannot even pray, and this is because of the sin of not exerting with all of one's might to pray to the creator. This reason one comes to a state of such loneliness. However, after one comes to that state, he is pitied from above. He's given another awakening from above. The same order begins anew, until finally, he strengthens in prayer, and the creator hears his prayer and brings him near and reforms him. So what is the concealment that we want? We want the creator to be concealed, and that we will yearn for him, in order to come closer to him with our own forces, in order to bestow with our own criticism, and that we will be responsible for us coming closer. That I will do it. It's my work. It should be my work, and therefore I am concerned about the concealment, because in that I find a place to work, and if there is a place to work, then I can work. I can reveal my desire, my inclination, my yearning for the creator, and over that to receive a reward, meaning a desire to bestow. Then, according to the desire to bestow to the creator to that extent in which the creator wants to bestow, and it's going towards me, then we are mutual, in a mutual form connecting, and thus building between us a connection called orthament. We always wanted revelation. I don't want to discover the creator in the form of my will to receive. I'm concerned that he will be revealed only with restrictions, green and reflected light. I don't want to receive the light directly, and also I will not receive it because there is this law of restriction which was performed back then in, but also it's not to my benefit because I will never reach identification equivalence of form with him. I will not reach resembling him, and this is why to receive him directly, it's like the guest sitting next to the host and eating whatever he feels like. Whatever the host puts before him, he just takes it. It can be a baby, and then his state covers for these things, or it could be the degree of the still, vegetative or animate. We do not demand of them any kind of response, but the speaking degree. Then it's required for us to relate to the creator as he relates to us, and then we will be called atoms similar to the creator. This is why all of our work is only with restrictions, green reflected light, and receiving in order to bestow. Okay. So it turns out that we're talking about a person who's already in spiritual attainment. One who does not have contact with the creator in order to bestow is not called Adam human, is called animate or a beast. We're talking about the degree that we want to rise to, which qualities, which relations, which desires we need to reveal towards the creator, and how to build this approach in the relations between us, because the group is actually the preparation. This is why the creator broke the vessel of Adam and gave us an opportunity to put it back together in order for us to learn how to relate to him. Friends, at the end of the article, it says that if the heart is not expert enough in prayer, it falls into a double consummate course through the friend, through their group, because for him to relate to the group or to relate to the creator, it's actually the same thing, because behind each friend stands the creator, and therefore, why is the whole of reality divided in such a way to the group and the creator, so that he will have a place to work in, a way that is more clear, more revealed. And this is how we need to do it. Yes, but in the end, the attitude to the creator and to the group should be the same attitude. Truly the same attitude. Oh dear, Dear friends, the second discernment. It says, why is it heresy? Why is it heresy? Is it written about it? Can you repeat it, please? Repeat, please. Yes. In the second discernment in the text, he says that it comes to a set of heresy, that to understand that the pain, the suffering comes from the Creator to bring him up the degree. Why is that heresy? The Creator sends us all kinds of states, whatever we have, from the simplest state and up to the most complex, complicated state, the farthest from spirituality, and up to the state which is truly spiritual. All of these things we get them as a result of the influence of the Creator over us. There is none else besides him. And this is why we need to establish ourselves opposite him and to scrutinize. What is he doing? What does he want from us? He for sure wants us above those states that we get from him. And undoubtedly it's only from him. He wants us above these states to connect with him. First of all, that we will accept it forcefully, that we will accept a priority, that whatever we get it comes from the Creator. And secondly, that whatever we get it's in order to promote us. If it is so, then I have to try through the group to connect to see the Creator before me, and I need to yearn that the Creator will seem to me as the good who is doing good, and to constantly work on these two, that whatever I have around me in general in the whole of reality it's the Creator, and that he is relating to me as good and doing good, and that I need in such a way that I relate to him, to see how I can come closer to him. To come closer means to agree more and more with whatever I get from him, both in my feeling and also in my understanding, in my mind and in my heart. He dwells there, and he controls them. And then I have the group, the lessons, all kinds of actions that we do. And then I need to see how do I advance toward him more and more, in the understanding and also in the feeling that each time I can see the Creator who is far away from me, that is not operating as a good and doing good, and it's not only him, but there are all kinds of other forces. He's hidden, and around me there are all kinds of different foreign forces, and specifically in these two states, that I have many forces, different forces, working on me, and they're bad forces. They're confusing me. I need to compose of that only a single image, a single upper force only, who is good and doing good, and this is our work all in all. Each time, to focus ourselves with such a focus, that before me there is only one force, good and doing good, that's it. But how do I do it in order for me to constantly change myself, elevate myself to a greater degree of bestow a higher degree of connection with the by that I will feel the Creator, that indeed there is none other besides him, and he's good and doing good. This is clear. Good. Must. How does he? What is what helps a person to go from one type of revelation to another? It's that I see in all the forms of concealment how the Creator is playing with me, and I do not forget about it. How do I not forget about? If I'm connected with the friends, each one of us, according to his individual vessel, because we are connected between us in a part, so each one is seemingly forms a spur, a particular spur, and then it turns out that when I'm connected with them, it aims me, it reminds me that I need to be aimed towards, there is none else besides him good and doing good. And this is how we help each other. Hello, teacher. Don't suffer from the consentment. On the contrary, there's come this connection with the 10. They acquire a deficiency for that. The fact that we want to discover the Creator, we don't discover him in our vessels of reception. This is why he remains under concealment. Rather, we discover him in our vessels of bestow, when we make of ourselves that same image of the bestower, the giver, the Creator, and therefore it is considered that we raising or reflected light according to the measure of reflected light, as much as we are able to resemble the Creator, we get his or we receive his bestow, and therefore it's not as we may possibly think in our vessels of reception in our ego that we discover. The creator, the revelation of the creator is considered that I establish the image of the creator out of my desire through the intention to bestow. So, Kazakhstan. Thank you, Rob. The article is not entirely clear. Can we or can't we prevent this double concealment through prayer? Or is this something that has to happen necessarily? No, we have to go through periods of concealment each time because there's no revelation without concealment. That cannot be that. We will reach some revelation. So what? Does it mean revelation then? How can you have one without the other? How can you have light without darkness? And the darkness remains and it exists as the infrastructure of the light. And specifically by it the light is revealed. You cannot have good without bad, but rather the bad awakens us to reach what we call the good. It's actually clear from the article, but there's a feeling that double concealment is not desirable if I got it correctly. I don't understand. You. He says that the double concealment, where I lose completely the feeling of the creator, and he writes that we have to come out of it through prayer as if it's not desirable. Of course, the creator doesn't want to stay under concealment. He wants us to discover him, to reach him in connection, in an embrace, adhesion, kissing, all these forms of connection, of course. But these forms of connection, all of them should grow out of the concealment and through our own self-monitoring and effort. It says, there is a known remedy in increasing the prayer. Each time we connect between us in the group more, and from the connection between us we are able to connect our desire, our common prayer, common request, and make it more and more powerful toward the Creator. And then according to that our demand increases and his response also. Why in the article, the matter of pleasantness belongs to the creature. I can't hear what you're mumbling there. Speak up. Open your mouth. Why should I always work with my full force and you should not? Sure. Can you hear me? We hear you. But speak clearly. Matter of pleasantness and is described as related to the creature. Why? Why is it when things come from the Creator? I didn't understand. Says the person neglects the work. This belongs to the creature as if he is neglected. But I'm asking, things come from the Creator. Why is it ascribed to the creature? Because the Creator, the created being, did not invest sufficient preparation in order to increase his prayer, his request from the Creator. Everything depends on preparation, on working the 10, on knowing the goal, preparing, and all kinds of things, whatever is possible, and there is nothing more than a prayer. All of our work there reaches its summary. PT 25. We always say that you cannot change yourself. Only the light, the Creator, can do that. Change. That's right. So how the Creator expects me to suddenly say that everything comes from above, from there's no besides him. The good who does good, well, you need to say it even though you don't know, feel it. You don't understand it. What does it mean to say it when you don't feel it? Just say it. Say it right now. Say it right now. Everything comes from the Creator. In my mouth. Yes. What else? With your mouth. What? With your ear. Say it throughout the day. Say it 1,000 times. And tomorrow we'll talk about it. You told me to do this once and I tried. I told you everything already. However, you're not hearing me. And even worse, you're not doing what I'm telling you. And then you're showing to everyone how much you're like your wall. You don't want to accept any advice. Morning friends in the state of double concealment. I have nothing to do. I'm passive. Even if I want it, I can't want it. What happens in that state? In that state, you are adhered to the 10, and you are null before the without a heart, without a brain. This is why you're getting such a state. Double concealment where you have no choice, but only to ascribe yourself to the 10 as much as you're capable of. That is all. Try and you will see how much in that. And precisely, specifically in such States when you don't describe your mind or your emotion to yourself, but rather as much as possible you actually gain. So it's like a donkey, like an animal. Do it, and we'll talk. Do it, and then we'll talk. When we identify inside of ourselves, in spite of the effort that we make to incorporate in the connection in the 10, in spite of it, we discover that we're more egoist crude than before. Are we allowed to pray for ourselves in order to be corrected? When I feel myself today worse than yesterday, it's actually good. The revelation of evil that was there before yesterday, but I didn't see it. And now I can see it. So I have a reason to pray more to the Creator. That's excellent. I've advanced. PT 31. The states repeat themselves and we forget even a second after the Congress. How much force there is in the connection. How can we shorten the time of forgetfulness? Only through the connection between us. When we wish to remind one another how we need to be connected, how we need to help one another, and so on so forth. It's all written. Just shouldn't forget, and we must always renew it. Thank you, dear Rav. A question from a friend. What should be our behavior in the state of loneliness? Loneliness is already a state. We need to understand that in each state, no matter which, we have to be connected between us as much as possible, and be connected from us to the Creator as much as possible, and feel such the greatness of the society as much as possible, and the greatness of the Creator as much as possible. We need to try hard to exert in the connection between us and the connection with the Creator, and the fact that we are in the worst possible state. That's fine. If we are in a group, we can remind one another. None of us will remember. None of us will be able to raise himself. But because we are in a certain connection between us in the 10, then everyone can remind everyone of where we are. What work are we in? Where are we headed? Who's governing us? And so on and so forth. If we're connected between us, that's why our work is to ensure the connection between us never stops. He writes in the article that when one receives the suffering and the troubles, he will surely adopt the well-known remedy, which is to increase in prayer. What does he tie suffering and praying together? What does it mean to pray out of the suffering? If we pray not from within the suffering, then our prayer is called gratitude. We are grateful. We thank the Creator. But the true prayer is a disclosure of deficiency. When the created being is asking the Creator, and the Creator that the Creator will correct something. This is the main thing, that the main role of the Creator, that we ask, and He corrects, and He enjoys that we turn to Him in this way. So we have to look for the kind of request deficiencies that we need to raise to Him so He would correct them. So if I understand correctly, this is about suffering out of the fact that I don't succeed in connecting. I don't succeed in coming closer. This is what causes me sorrow, and from this I pray. Yeah. What about the other kinds of suffering we have in reality? In the remaining torments, we can also raise to the Creator. But it's a question. Are they egoistic torments that are far away from connection, from the request for connection, and then they're not helpful? I'm not deciphering them correctly. Everything is written. So what exactly is the permission, the authority we have in the work to do what's written? Last one. Morning, a question by the 10. Can we maybe explain about the prayer? Scrutinize it. Rush in this article or follows a certain order. First discover the Creator, the prayer, then increase the prayer. How can we advance through these stages? We have a feeling that we get stuck somewhere. You will try to advance until you receive a reaction from the Creator, and then you'll learn from. We go to the lesson. From the wisdom of item 18. Now we shall explain 5 phases in the screen by which the levels change during the coupling by striking performed by the upper, because the will to receive is necessarily built from 5 phases. Because without having 5 phases, 5 discernments on the light, the will to receive doesn't feel itself as receiving pleasure. It doesn't feel that it's receiving pleasure from someone. It doesn't have these 3 discernments, which come only in the 5th discernment in its 5th phase, which is called phase 4. And if there aren't 4 phases of development from the root in the will to receive, it is not called will to receive. This is why in every will to receive that we talk about, there must be 5 degrees of evolution, 5 degrees of coarseness, 5 discernments on the upper light, and then it's called a desire. Before that it's not called a desire. Yeah. First we must thoroughly understand that even though phase 4 was banned from being a vessel of reception for the tense field, after the restriction, phase 4, the will to receive as it receives according to its own taste, according to its own will, and that stopped with a restriction. Asan defines what is the restriction: one who retains his desire although he wants it very much, and the reflected light that rises from the screen through the coupling by striking became the vessel of reception in it said, meaning that same desire that exists in the vessel becomes through the intention to bestow into a vessel of reception a different vessel of reception opposite from before, and this is what is worthy fitting for use, meaning you use the same desire as before, but with a screen and reflected light. These 3 components build a new vessel, and only in it after the complete first restriction, it is possible to receive the abundance, and never will there be a different requisite condition. It must still accompany the reflected light with its power of reception, the coarseness, the will to receive. Had it not been for that, the reflected light would have been unfit to be a vessel of reception, because in what is it possible to give if not in the will, in the pleasure that is felt in the will to receive that same pleasure that the created being receives from the Creator? It basically gives as pleasure to the Creator because there is mutual love between them. This is called reflected light. You should also understand this from the allegory in item 15. We demonstrated that the power to reject and decline the meal became the vessel of reception instead of the hunger and appetite. This is because hunger and appetite, the usual vessels of reception, were banned from being vessels of reception in this case due to the shame and disgrace of receiving a gift from one's friend, and only the powers of rejection and refusal have become vessels of reception in their stead. As through the rejection and refusal, reception has been inverted into bestow. When he repels, rejects his own will to receive his own ego, he doesn't reject the host, he rejects the will to receive in order to receive. And when he can restrict it and reject it from using it in order to receive, then he gives what is revealed in that will to receive to the host. This is called in order to bestow, and through them he achieved vessels of reception suitable to receive one's friend's meal. In other words, basically, the host does not feel any effort here, a war or a struggle or decisions, reportedly, that are done in the created being. All the work is within the created being itself, himself. Not to reject the host, not to slight or disrespect the host, but it's all done within the lower one, with the pleasures, with the will to receive, with the decisions and his own intentions. Yet it cannot be said that he no longer needs the usual vessels of reception, namely the hunger and the appetite, to that same pleasure that comes from the Creator, from the host, because that's the only connection that there is between them for now. What the host wants to give is pleasure to the created being. In the meantime, that's the only connection. So the created being has to come to a state where he feels all the flavors and hunger for them, which a person doesn't have to begin with in this world. A desire for those pleasures that come from the host. This is called a person having to go through the system of the shells and be enslaved to them until 13 years, as he writes. 13 being just a name until he acquires desires from them desires from them to the pleasures that come from the Creator, not for worldly pleasures. And then when he's incorporated in the shells with the shells, he's got work to perform, corrections on them, restrictions, and intentions to bestow, as it is clear that without appetite for eating, he will not be able to satisfy his friend's wish and bring him contentment by eating at his place. In other words, desires in a person have to develop specifically for lights that come from the Creator, meaning a person has to be incorporated with all the shells. But the thing is that the hunger and appetite which were banned in their usual form have now been transformed by the forces of rejection and refusal into a new form, reception, in order to bestow, whereafter he was incorporated with the King of Egypt, and who brought him closer to repentance, etc. Then he can go out to freedom, meaning to work with all those vessels he took from Egypt in order to bestow. By this the disgrace has been inverted into honour. When from slavery he goes out to freedom to be called a son, it turns out that the usual vessels of reception are still as active as ever, but have acquired a new form. Initially he didn't have vessels at all for that upper light. That's why there's the system of the shells. When a person goes through the system of these shells, he becomes incorporated with desires in order to receive from the Creator. He must be incorporated with all those desires, and afterwards begin to work with them, and then it's considered that these desires acquired a new form from in order to receive to in order to bestow. There is only the correction of the intention here, but we're not talking about desires of this world, because in them the giver is not felt. There is no relation between the giver and the receiver. We're talking about desires and pleasures that are revealed as the connection between the person and the Creator. Yes, so a vessel is a desire to receive pleasure from the Creator because it comes from the Creator to be like Him. Otherwise, it's not a vessel. What is a vessel? We are in an imaginary world. It's not even considered that we are alive. The shells are not considered life, and there they correspond to they stand opposite the holiness. We are below the line of holiness and impurity and shell. Of course, this is why our state is not called spiritual. The shell is spirituality already in order to receive, but spirituality, and for us in order to receive it, things that are trivial, insignificant, they're not regarded as spiritual pleasures. That's why we don't need to work on them. We always have to work above them. How from within them we rise to spiritual pleasures. Salam writes in item 70 in the letters, page 70 in the letters, that he must yearn for the Creator as one who loves with the greatest lust, and then he deserves to enter spirituality. You will also conclude concerning our matter that it is true that phase 4 has been banned from being a vessel for reception of the tennis field because of its coarseness, meaning the disparity of form from the giver which separates from the giver. Yet through establishing the screen in phase 4, which strikes the upper light and repels it, her previous faulty form has been transformed. Now she acquired a new form called reflected light, transformation of the form of reception into a form of bestow. In other words, to begin with, a very grave decision was taken by the created being to make the restriction, and by this separate itself from the created from the Creator. And as the writes, this is the gravest of the grave. But afterwards, after the restriction, when he makes the correction, so the restriction helps him becomes influenced by the upper one, then new vessels of reception are made, and reception becomes a bestowal, and by this it creates a mutual connection between them. So if there's only a restriction, of course there's no good solution in this, but on the contrary, a person disregards, has no respect for what the Creator gives him, often said, either you have fun in this world or you have fun in the spiritual world. Either way, because a person who enjoys life in this world just like that, thanks in his heart, thanks the Creator in his Heart, we once went by soccer field, and he said you should respect this place because people enjoy here. So you should just imagine this, you should bless that place where people enjoy. Why? Because subconsciously they bless the Creator for the pleasure they receive there. But the restriction is a limitation where a person doesn't want to receive any pleasures. If it's for the purpose of correction that comes after that, and it's justified, then it's justified. And if it's not for the purpose of correction and a person becomes self-righteous, and whether he wants to or not in his heart he curses the Creator because in the end he is made of the will to receive, and if he limits himself the will to receive receives no pleasure, and then a person within him, even though he doesn't feel it, he curses. He doesn't thank the Creator and he's called wicked. He condemns the source of his life. Therefore, that's why he says a new form was made. With the restriction comes the screen in phase 4, and this is what reforms. So the screen comes in this new form. The content of its initial form was not changed there. Now too it does not eat without appetite. Likewise here, all the coarseness, which is the force of reception that was in phase 4, has come inside the reflected light. Hence the reflected light became suitable for being a vessel of reception. In our world, you come to the mother, she gives. You, I come when I come to my mother once a year, and she prepares for me the same food that 40, even 50 years ago I used to eat at home, and she sits by me, and I eat, and I feel that my pleasure is her pleasure. Right? That's the example that we can imagine in this world of the type of connection that should be with the Creator, between the Creator and the person, that within the same desire, where one feels and the other feels, and both feels what the other feels. So, there's no difference, and this is called adhesion. So in this way, that opens for us a possibility to come through our vessel adhesion with the Creator, where our vessel becomes the means. So the pleasure is a must, and someone who doesn't enjoy, and he's happy when he enjoys, as a result he cannot delight the Creator. Therefore, we must always discern two forces in the screen. The first is hardness, which is the force within it that rejects the appetite. The second is coarseness, which is the measure of the will to receive from phase 4 included in the screen, whereby the coupling of striking through the force of the hardness in its coarseness has turned into refinement, meaning the inversion of reception into bestow. In other words, the same coarseness becomes sanctified because specifically, in this coarseness, the power of the love is sensed. The power of mutual connection that can be revealed only within the coarseness of the created being. So to begin with, this coarseness separates, so to speak, between them, and by changing the intention, it connects the two of them, and both of them use the same course as the Creator and the created being, and that coarseness is the place of meeting between them. These two forces in the screen operate in 5 phases, the 4 phases, and the root called, and it's all revealed within the vessel, within the coarseness and outside of it. There is nothing. What is revealed in the vessel is called the world. Malat is called the world. The sticks of Malat are called worlds. And outside the vessel we have no feeling reception. Rather, outside the vessel we say that there is His self, which is the root of everything that is done. What who we don't know, we don't attain, we don't feel, we assume that it exists. It's a concept that is imperceptible, unrevealed, unfelt, that we accept as the root of what is already within the vessel, because the light that we revealed, we also reveal only within the vessel. And what is the vessel? A vessel of reception. When we acquire vessels of bestow, as it's called, the screen reflected light of, they're not vessels, they are conditions for equivalence, for balance of the will to receive with the light, by which the will to receive and light can connect together and skip over the first restriction, the condition of the two forms of nature, giving and receiving. But it's not as if there are new vessels in the vessels of this world. It is a condition under which the created being enjoys it, because by this he feels that he pleases the Creator. Therefore, acquiring vessels of bestow is a correction of the vessel, acceptance of conditions in which afterwards we work with the coarseness, with will to receive, and it's not as if there is such a thing as vessels of bestow. We say this, but there's no such thing in nature. Vessels of bestow, screen reflected light right. We are in a lesson on the topic of everything is attained through the power of prayer. Selected exits from the sources. Exit number 8. Study material is available on the sites. You can send questions through the sites. We are in excerpt number 8. It is upon a person to pray each day that the Creator will open his eyes so he will recognize the greatness and importance of the Creator. So he has fuel to labor with the aim to bestow. There are 2 discernments to make in this. 1, to have a desire to bestow contentment upon his Maker. This will be his only aspiration. 2, to do things with the aim that the actions will bring him a desire to do things in order to please the Creator. In other words, he must work and toil extensively to obtain light and clear vessel. Light means that he receives from the Creator a desire where he craves all day to bring contentment to the Creator. A clear is a desire, meaning that he wants to bestow upon the Creator those 2 he should receive from the Creator, meaning both the light and the clear. This is what we read from Rarish. In a sense, everything we have to say about the work of the Creator, the work between us, and it's entirely aimed toward the Creator. So, speak of the light and the vessel. Speak of the connection between us, how we can be connected and directed, all of us, together, and all in order to give contentment to the Creator. We have no other goals than that, no other reasons for being connected and directed at the Creator, except in order to give him contentment. All the other reasons are not included, are not part of our work with the Creator, rather are bestowed to the Creator, as to be that we wish to give him contentment from us, and accordingly we can weigh everything and measure whatever is possible, whatever is present, whatever is at our disposal. In other words, how are we aimed only at the Creator, and how do we wish to reach only him, so he would feel our efforts, feel our work. What are we thinking about? How much do we exert and connect? And what do we hope to attain by that? Meaning, what we want is to feel in return from the Creator, that by that we attain the goal, meaning we succeed. That's what's important to us. That's in effect our work. Questions. Turkey 1. What does it mean to bring contentment to the Creator? Can't hear the translation. What does it mean to bring contentment to the Creator? Contentment to the Creator. We check it according to our own vessels. They have no other way with which to connect to the Creator, except to think and that, and everything we do, all of our actions, our intentions, our desires, everything we do, only in order to bring him contentment, for him to be happy with us, satisfied. That's what we wish to attain. That's what we wish to bring about. 37. It is written that a person must pray each day. Bad connection. Can't understand him. It's written that the Creator will open his eyes each day. What does it mean? That the Creator will open his eyes. Eyes. The eyes are the upper limit per boundary of how much I can attain, understand. Therefore, when I pray for the Creator to open my eyes, it means that I yearn for it, for the Creator to fill my eyes, which are my highest vessel. Turkey 7. In excerpt number 8, there is it talks about light in the vessel, and in both cases it says that the light in the vessel are desires. So, the friend is asking, I heard in the past that light is pleasure and the vessel is a desire. So how does it work out? Let it be as you understood it before. Light and vessel are the desire of a person, and what fills it. That's how we can think about all those things for the time being. There's no translation in Spanish of how can we feel that we are becoming similar to the Creator in the work in the 10. How can we feel that we are becoming similar to the Creator in the work in the 10? From our explanations of Kabbalists, we learn how we can connect by what with which qualities, desires, thoughts, and how we can awaken the Creator to the connection with us. So the connection between us would be like a vessel. Our inner state should draw the Creator's attention to order us, to take care of us, to fill us, to advance us. That's what we need. Thank you. I can't hear translation. The friend said, thank you. No, I couldn't hear your words. There is light and vessel we receive from a Creator. We can't hear him. We can't understand him. I can't understand what you're saying. I can't understand what you're saying. I turned. Each time the audio is cut off, try to fix your audio definitions. 1. Good morning, good morning, friends. Carson is tasked with praying every day, so that the Creator lights his eyes so that he recognizes the importance of the Creator, so that he has fuel to exert, with the intention to bestow. And in this we must discern two discernments. 1. To have a desire to bestow contentment upon his Maker, that this will be his only aspiration, and 2. To do things with the aim that the actions will bring him a desire to do things in order to please the Creator. So what is the difference between the desire described in the first item and the desire that comes after the actions in the second item? What's the difference? There is a desire that comes from above, and there is desire that comes from below. So this means that a person wants to serve the Creator, specifically from his own desire, so that the desire to bestow to the Creator will be born out of him, and that within this desire he will give the desire all of the thoughts and desires, and everything that he has he will give it to the Creator, and agree to that. 31. He writes that he needs to perform actions and great exertions to attain the vessel. Now attaining to attain the light in the vessel, he has to go through the restriction first, and we know that the restriction is a very grave thing. And so how to correctly perform the restriction, so that it's directed at the Creator, and in order to receive the abundance from him. I didn't understand, perhaps I didn't hear everything, so please repeat it. He writes that one must work and toil extensively to obtain the light and the vessel. Yes. Now in order to come to that sum of these exertions, I assume that that's the restriction, restricting his vessels of perception. So how can you be in that restriction without it being very, very bad, wrong, or grave matter? As he writes, in order to be to have a connection between the person and the Creator. The Creator is ready for everything, and he just invites the person to relate to him, to connect. But for us, in order to connect to the Creator, we need to make a few preparations for that. And this is why here there is a matter of adapting the light to the vessel, and adaptation, or matching between the vessels and adaptation in the light. So it is passed on to our vessel, or to the vessel of the Creator from our vessel, and therefore we need to learn how do we adapt our vessel to the Creator's vessels, so that we will have the mutual connection between us. We will learn more about that for the time being. Just please, friends, get your microphones all properly arranged, set up. Check with your friends in the 10 if you can be heard well, if your sound is good, so that when you ask a question we hear you clearly. Okay. Thank you. Please. BT 35. Thank you, love. We need to bestow contentment upon the Creator through our work in the tent. And I heard that we need to weigh and evaluate what we have at our disposal for the purpose of giving him contentment. So what does it mean that we have to evaluate or weigh what we have at our disposal? The Creator always gives us certain number of vessels or means to connect to him, to feel him. We need to try to Detect them enter mutual connection with them, to be with him, with the Creator, in a complete connection, and to advance in such a, that's it. This complete whole connection. How should it manifest in our 10? In our feeling as a 10. In our feeling in a 10. The complete connection should manifest in that I receive in all of my senses whatever I need in order to place the or establish the connection that I have before me with the Creator, and advance in such a way until I reach a state where I feel Him in all of my vessels, in all my thoughts and quality. I feel how He's influencing me, bestowing to me how He's connected with me, and this is how we advance. Last question of my vessels: to what extent they depend on the collective vessel of the 10. My vessel is completely shared with all the vessels of my friends in the 10, and this is by us making a common effort by all of us to connect with the Creator. By that we attain the vessel, are sharing in a complete manner, and the Creator fills this vessel, and He teaches us how to reach a complete connection. Thank you very much, sir. Her, H10. Thank you very much. Question from students. What is the shortest, most accurate action a person should take to bestow contentment upon the Creator? The smallest action, the shortest that each one is seemingly capable of reaching, that is that all of us in the 10 connects to a certain degree that everyone is capable of reaching, and then out of the connection between us, we are drawn to the Creator in order to give Him a desire to fill us, so that by that we will give Him contentment. This is usually our work, usually meaning in every appeal of each one of us. We want to be connected between us in order to reach our matching to the Creator's attitude towards us, so that we will have between us a common relation to Him. PT 29. Thank you very much. It's written here about 2 things. That it's the light of having the desire to bestow contentment upon the Maker, and the vessel, which is doing things with the aim that the actions will bring Him to a desire to do things to please the Creator. Light and vessel. Do we ask for these 2 things at the same time, or is there a certain order where we need to ask for the first and then the second? It is according to what we're capable of. There are times for the creation of the vessels, and there are types for drawing their lights, and both of these build for us a correct tight connection with the Creator, and therefore we should try to be in this connection and constantly enlarge it. Thank you very much. 11. Partners. By us wanting to use the right vessels, we can connect with the Creator. All in all, the wisdom of Kabbalah is the wisdom or the science of our connection with the Creator. And so, we need to adapt ourselves to Him in our actions, in our prayers, in our deeds, so that we will be able to connect between us, so that we have a vessel that is suitable for the Creator, suitable as possible, and in this way we will advance. This is what we study actually every day. Women 43. Hello, tell me please, how can a complete action be taken internally where there's no calculation, no reason what's left in the action, if there's no outcome that I can feel? When we give birth to our children, we realize that they're not worthy of anything. They're not capable of doing anything, and we are obligated to support them, to educate them, fill them with knowledge, with food, with everything possible that we can give them. We want to give that to them. This is an instinct that exists in us. It is the same in the wisdom of Kabbalah. So long as we become worthy of being parents, meaning to beget new vessels and connections between them, and raise them maximally as much as we're capable of until the degree of connection with the Creator we do. And then we feel how the Creator is helping us, and then our whole connection becomes only for Him. Women PT 38. What is the first initial spiritual connection? What form does it take? A connection with the upper giver that a person attains inside of his connection with his friends. Thank you very much. The desire to want to bestow and the desire to bestow, as it is in itself, are those two different vessels, or is it the same thing? Within my desire to want to bestow, can the Creator be revealed there? Yes, these are two similar things. All of these will become clarified in us and will be more clear, more attainable in the most difficult situations. What inner outcry should we have so that we can truly feel the greatness of the Creator in the most difficult states? We should feel. Where exactly is the difficulty? Is it in the desire or in the intention? With respect to the Creator or with respect to the created beings? And when we scrutinize all of these things according to our degree, according to how much we're capable of it, then bit, by that, we scrutinize the connection between us, and from the connection between us, our connection with the Creator. This is how we reach the goal. In the beginning there it's written that it is upon a person to pray each day that the Creator will open his eyes. The question is, what space do we need to clear out, to empty out within our mind and heart so that the Creator opens our eyes? We want to reach a connection with the Creator at the height of the eyes, as we say. At eyes level means that I will see Him and He will completely fill all of my field of vision. This is the correct connection of a person with the Creator. This is how we will advance. If I feel the Creator in such a way, without any limitation in all of my vessels, then I will also be able to direct myself to Him accordingly. Women PT 23. We heard that we need to learn how to adapt our vessel to the Creator's vessel so that there is a mutual relationship between us. How to adapt our vessels to the Creator's vessels? By wanting to get closer, to enter a connection between us and Him, and in such a way we will reach the understanding of the connection, the essence of the connection between us. This is what we need to attain. How does it happen in practice? How do we actually do it in the 10? In the 10. This is actually all of the work in the 10 of each and every one of us. In every 10, we should be connected between us, between the friends, and also connected with the Creator. Yeah, in such a way that eventually there will be no difference between how we connect between us and how we connect from us to the Creator. That is that there will be an equivalence of the vessels. In such a way, we will feel no loneliness in the connection between us, and we will always have a wide open field for connection with the Creator. Next. Thank you. Women P8. Thank you. It's written that a person is tasked with praying every day for the Creator to open his eyes so he knows the importance and greatness of the Creator. So it's a person's duty to seek the greatness of the Creator. The question is recognizing the Creator's greatness. Can that bring a person a feeling of very, very big debt to the Creator? Yes. So how can he deal with that? How can he repay his debt to the Creator the most direct way? How? He can do it. We can't ask because there's no limitation on his ability, but we need to want, be able of understanding, of being felt accepted inside his vessels without any limitations. But I don't understand how a person who has a debt to the Creator can repay his debt to the Creator. In what way? What does the Creator want? How do you repay it? I don't think that I know what you're asking. But if a person understands what he has before him, from which vessels he was created, what is it exactly that he wants to attain? What contact does he have with the Creator? Of that, you can also understand the form of his connection with the Creator, kind of connection he has with the Creator. Woman, Ukraine 2. We heard you say that we stopping children when we learn to give birth to new vessels in the connections between us. What does it mean to give birth to new vessels? To feel that connection with the Creator is born within us that did not exist previously. This is how we rise on the degrees of the letter. Women Latin 26. The more we want to bestow upon the Creator, the more we feel small How can we work with that feeling? It's not about whether we are small or great. What's important, the importance we should have between us, is the importance of us wanting to attain the Creator together, and we're capable of that, and the Creator wants the connection with us, and is able to help us until we attain Him. 27. Thank you very much. The people of Israel are in a complicated situation right now. What is the most important thing that we, neighborhood, can do to bestow contentment upon the Creator in the current situation? We in the present complicated state need to scrutinize which desires, which thoughts, which vessels we can present to the Creator in order to be connected with Him all day and all night, and so that we will not become separated from Him after we reach some partial feeling or even a complete feeling, but rather of instead of infinity in the creation of the vessels by the Creator, and no end to the work from this side of our vessels in the states of the created being woman. Europe. If I feel my friends, if I start feeling my friends as if they are me, I don't feel different from them. Is that a sign that my vessel is similar to feeling them that way? Can, certainly. If your vessels will resemble the general vessel of the 10, then by that he will rise to a higher degree. Woman 27. How to make it so that our desire to bestow contentment upon the Creator will become our only desire. We were born with a will to receive. This will to receive comes to us from the Creator's will to bestow, and therefore, as much as we will become incorporated in the Creator's desire to bestow, and we will want to have His feeling, by that we receive our vessels more, vessels of the will to receive. I'll check this whether I got it right, or maybe got confused. Okay, I see that. Georgia, they're all asleep there. I don't want them to fall off their chairs. Hello dear love world. What is more important, to describe the Creator or to see Him, for Him to match our description or what we see with our eyes? I think it's the same thing. After sometimes there's a difference in the text, the way the author expresses himself, but to depict or to see, you can say it's the same thing in the wisdom of Kabbalah. So it follows that we don't discover the Creator, but rather we discover Him through our actions. Okay. And, oh, thank you very much. So, we have work to do. We have work. To the extent that we can describe Him, to that extent we can act. Yes, we just need to serve Him with a common vessel. A vessel that was created through the connection between you, and then everything will be okay. And outside of our circle of everything that's going on, let's say in Israel, how can we influence that? Is there any way, any opportunity? I cannot imagine to myself what can be corrected in those circles or vessels that right now are not involved. I think that this requires work or completion of the work on our side, and then we will feel precisely what we're missing. Women Latin Ara. Women Latin 14. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Have good day. World Clement. I go that we want to achieve a connection with the Creator on the highest degree. There we will see Him and feel how He fills everything. So we receive these lessons, and we experience, we feel the existence of the Creator. We feel Him. We feel how He dresses in flesh and blood, and how we get close to Him. So you say, we now feel a connection that we haven't felt before. And I felt that. I'm really in the state of a beast. Once upon a time, but now I want to ask, how does the state expand and enlarge the vessels, and the state does it allow us to enter into holiness? Thank you. Yes, without feeling all of these states, we cannot reach Gadusha, a connection with the Creator. We will be missing the clay where we feel. And so, this is why we need all of these vessels, and to constantly try to sort them correctly. Latino 1. Good day, beloved love. Good day, friends. A question. In our hand, we have a great craving for bestow. We don't know how to replace our egoistic nature with the will to bestow. Also, what does it mean to be worthy of the Creator? How can we become righteous women? What does it mean to be righteous women? Acting for the Creator, working for the Creator. Righteous women. It's a very high degree, and certainly I would have liked to see you in that way. You need to connect between you, like little children, little girls, and then, out of the attraction that you will feel between you, out of that you will also reach the correct connection between you and in the correct connection between you. You will no longer be limited. You will not be limited. This is what is needed. With your permission, we are the will to receive. I am the will to receive. We were created as the will to receive. At some stage, we're supposed to start bestowing contentment upon the Creator. It's like a change, a transformation in nature, starting to feel this love. At what point does this transition occur? Which stage? The stage in which we move from the will to receive, the natural will to receive, which we don't feel in our senses. That's the will to receive pleasure for myself. When do we transition to loving the Creator, bestowing contentment upon Him, where suddenly the Creator also receives this quality of love, where He wants to receive contentment from what we do? Yes. At what stage does this transition occur? In what quality? In what's, if we're talking in the language of Kabbalah, in the quality of bestow and love. Love and bestow. And this is a transition to will scrutinize it within you. Where can there be a deficiency for that, a vessel for that? And how can we reach that? Pray for that. And then for certain, we will attain it. And this is the quality of, no, I don't want to get into that. It will only cause confusion. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Thank you. Love. What causes a person to bestow contentment in any and every action, thought, intention, to bestow contentment upon the Creator without forgetting about it ever? What helps the person? Only one thing helps the person. That, after he builds his connection with his friends, he annuls before this connection completely, and he wants that. Inside this connection now the next degree will come, how he will connect with the Creator. How do we build up such collective force fields between us, so that we can truly receive fuel from Him, to allow us to only want to give Him contentment? How do we build up that collective force? Through connection between you. Through the connection between you. Thank you. No. Well. Who else wants to hear something? 7. Women Turkey 8. How to restrict pleasure for myself, in order to make more room for the desire to bestow. There is nothing greater than the pleasure of bestowing upon the Creator. It's endless. This is aims of. Let us try to depict it inside our vessels, as much as they are filled with this force, with the connection to it, the desire for it. And this is how we will advance. I think that in that we will finish the lesson. I want to tell you thank you very much. That certainly I feel pleasure from being with you, even your faces. That I feel that I hardly moved afar away from you. Okay. So, let's move on to the next lesson. So, thank you very much. We'll now summarize the lesson in the tense. Let's give that 8 minutes. Many questions. It was an interesting topic. 2 points. A request that we will have a vessel towards bestow to the Creator, and the vessel itself of bestow to the Creator. Myself and also the friends, we wrote a lot about this example of a baby and a parent, where it was said that the parents are those that give birth to the new vessels, and they bring that to connection with the Creator. Later on there was also precision about what does it mean giving birth to new vessels. It's feel that a new connection is on with us with a Creator that did not exist before. This is how we advance in the degrees of the letter. Yes, a lesson full of insights. Such concepts. For example, the concept of light, what it means that one receives a desire from the Creator to give, contentment to the Creator all day long, and the vessel is the desire to have, the desire to bestow, and these two reconfigure our entire perceptions. Please, Alexander, or maybe Vire can continue. It's a very special lesson. I heard many interesting things. I tried to write what I heard in our chat. Thank you to everyone. And of course thanks for the fact that we were rewarded with being the focus group. Again, we touched upon the subject of prayer. We dove deep into it, and all the questions we can solve we can answer using prayer. In the beginning, I heard the expression that the goal is to delight the Creator. And in that state, not in that state, I heard in that intention I wanted to hear the questions and answers, that this is actually a desire and what does it look like? Where is there a need to delight occur? Where there isn't? It's a bit complicated, but I'm in that today. That's my primary deficiency today. It was already said, but I received a sensation of confidence. Confidence in that the connection between us all's everything, and connection that comes from the collective prayer, shared prayer, which appears a little different in each one, but its direction. We share, it's all the same direction. And this prayer is really felt. I don't know how to express this feeling I have, feeling from the lesson. It's like an explosion. What happened today? It's something new which we haven't experienced before. I pass it on to Dimmer. A very good lesson. I try to become incorporated in the questions of the friends with a partial success. I'm using the phone so I can see who should be speaking next. Yes, we delight the Creator by building vessels of bestow connection with the friends where the Creator can be revealed. And I loved what Love said. Pasha wrote it down. That we scrutinize which desires, which thoughts, and vessels we can present to the Creator, so to become connected to Him and all day, all night, never to part from Him. When we reach a partial or full fulfillment. Beautiful words. Thank you, Pasha, which by the way I'm passing the right of speech back to you. Yes, and this is an answer to the question of what is special about the state that Israel is in now, and what is required of us to do. We heard that we need to scrutinize more. Not all the vessels are sorted yet. That I tried to write down word by word. Maybe the friends will later also write. That to scrutinize which thoughts and desires and vessels we can serve to the Creator in order to be connected to Him all day and all night, and not to be separated from Him, even if we reach a partial fulfillment or complete one, and there are infinite numbers of states and vessels from the side of creation, from the side of the Creator. So I guess this is like a good summary, that every moment we should try to be connected to the Creator, in all the thoughts, all the desires, to remember that there is none else besides Him, and depict that this is our form of connection with the Creator. It's an excellent exercise for all of us, especially those who have conditions that are not simple and everything changes every second. I think it's wonderful. And now we will read the Book of Soho. All right, so we are reading from the Book of Soha, the article, the introduction, the book of the article, item 13, starting with the words thus: if there are two vessels, then there are the two lights. Again, the Book of So. Thus, if there are the two vessels, then there are the two lights, the light of and the light of in them, which are called. For this reason, we discern that only the two letters me remained in the degree, the light of Malhut and the light of the name Elohim, but the 3 degrees, rather the 3 letters, fell from them. Hence each degree became devoid of the gal in her. It was said, quote, in it he formed all the images and engraved all the engravings, end quote. This implies the division of each degree into 2 hars, through the ascent of the point into being a thought. In it he formed all the images refers to the 2 letters me that remain in the whole of the decree. forming the image of Adonai, carved all the engravings, refers to the 3 letters which fell from each degree and became deficient of them, for because of their absence only the light of Malad and the light of remained in the degree, and the 3 lights of missing in them, since there is no light without a vessel. If they were to obtain the vessels of Bener and Son once more, they would immediately obtain GA lights as well, for they are interdependent. 14. Engraved within the holy hidden candle refers to the malhud that was included in Bener, a carving of a single hidden image, the Holy of Holies, which is a deep structure that comes out of the thought gao and is called me the beginning of a structure. It stands and it does not stand, deep and hidden in the name Elohim. Also, it is called me of Elohim, meaning that the letters are lacking from the name Elohim. He wished to be revealed and be called by the name Elohim. He clothed in the luminous garment of honor, the light of, and created these. And the letters arose in the name Elohim, meaning that the letters conjoined with each other. The letters me with their letters, and the name Elohim was completed. As long as he did not create, it did not merit the name Elohim. And those who sinned with the calf said about it, quote, "These are your gods, O Israel," end quote. Explanation: through the ascent of man from the lower ones, a new light was extended from a bag. Since this light from a bag of the second restriction breaks each degree into 2. Hence, when this light extends to the row of, it lowers the point from the thought once more, from the place of back to her place, the place of the, as it was prior to the second restriction, and the 3 spur both, and that fell from the row to being row, because the coupling was done in the place of the below them. This is considered that the name Elohim was revealed once more, since the letters join the me at the same degree once more, and the name Elohim was completed in the degree. And since Bener and son of the vessels returned, the GA flights returned as well, and zone of flights clothed in the 5 letters of the name Elohim, the lights of in, the lights of sun in Yad. And remember this well, that the fallen are regarded as the vessels of Bener and Son that are missing in the degree. However, when unite in the name Elohim, they become lights of, due to the inverse relation between the vessels and the lights. It was said, quote, engraved within the holy hidden candle, end quote, referring to the mallet that was included in Bener, meaning that a screen and a place of coupling was engraved anew in of, which is called the hidden holy candle. This is an engraving of a hidden image, the Holy of Holies, and this new carving extends an image, a level of tens, the Holy of Holies, the level of Gar, which is called the Holy of Holies. And now let's hear from and recall our intention. If we're talking about the general reality, then of course we're already talking about the fact that we need to connect together. Doesn't talk at all about any other form. Everything is with respect to the assembly of Israel, or the collection of all the souls. Therefore, if a person wants to see reality correctly, it's through Malhud. Malhud is called the image of the Lord, and so he needs to accordingly identify with the quality of Malach, that it includes everything. And if a person is ready to the extent that he is ready to become incorporated with everything, with everyone, it's through love your friend as yourself. How else can you connect with everything? There is no other connection. This is what it is called. It's just how we connect. And so if we want to feel the true reality that the Tsar is telling us about, if you want to hear it or even see it, it is only if we're willing to give forth this condition and become incorporated in Malat, when it includes within it, or wants to include within it, all the qualities that are above it, and by that to resemble the kettle. And so, for that we need to think about the whole world and about the entire correction of, so that all the created beings will unite and become as one bundle, and they will all be in the intention to bestow contentment to the Creator. And within all of these created beings, we have at least one big group, where we all together. Next. And through the study, we bring the rest of the human pyramid to the same task, the same mission. We continue with, and because it comes out, and because it comes out of a thought. Since the point that rose to being a thought has now come out of a thought, and arrived at its real place. The place of Maladov, the three vessels Beanardsin and Newkever have now returned to the degree of, and the name Elohim was completed. He calls this level of Gal by the name a hidden image. It was said that it is called me the beginning of the structure, for although have already conjoined with me and the name Elohim was laid, it is still only called me, and it is the beginning of the structure of the name Elohim, because the structure is still incomplete.